What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and man, these absolutely insane Bakugo theories have gone too far. The MHA fandom has absolutely lost its mind since the apparent death of Bakugo in the manga, and people are desperately trying to come up with some way of explaining how he could survive, from Bakugo traveling back in time to become the second one-for-all user, to him unlocking a hidden quirk, or to Eri using Rewind to send Bakugo back in time so that he can become Deku's dad. Okay, I made that last one up, but when I posted it as a joke on Twitter at Anime Uproar, a bunch of people actually believed it. That is how crazy things have gotten in the fandom. That said, spoiler alert, I am almost certain that Bakugo will survive, and I am about to explain how he will be brought back to life, so let's get into it. You guys know the drill, leave a quick like and comment right now if you like our videos and you want to see more in the future. And of course, if you're new here or maybe you just haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, remember that subscribing and hitting that notification bell is a really important and completely free way of directly supporting the channel. If you don't go through the steps of subscribing, hitting the bell, and then selecting the option that says all, you are still gonna miss a ton of our videos even if you are subscribed. Unfortunately, that is how YouTube works. That said, I really do appreciate every single one of you who does bother to leave a like and to subscribe. Okay, so like I said, despite all these crazy theories about Bakugo potentially being resurrected or traveling back in time or becoming Deku's dad, the truth is that the latest chapter of the story may have already revealed how Bakugo will be brought back to life. It was subtle, but it was right there for all to see. The latest chapter started with a desperate Genist standing over Bakugo's lifeless body. Genist confirms that Bakugo has no pulse and that his heart has been ripped to shreds. He's not breathing, he has no pulse, blood is not being pumped through his body, and he is therefore clinically dead. So yeah, at this point in time, Bakugo is technically dead. He died. The heroes and hero students on the UA battlefield are devastated by this revelation. Mirio is shocked and furious. Aizawa and Monoma are devastated, and Genist himself is in disbelief. Meanwhile, Shigaraki is posing like a JoJo's character and gloating about how disappointing the heroes are. He also asks who's next, which hero will become the next present that the villain is going to leave for Deku when he finally does arrive on the battlefield. Miruko is absolutely furious that she didn't take Shigaraki out before his procedure had been completed back in Jakku. And even now, she is desperately fighting against him. In fact, she is actually biting through his finger mutations, proving once again that she is an absolutely fierce and unyielding fighter and one of the most badass waifus of all time. And as Shigaraki continues to tell the heroes about how screwed they are, the chapter shifts focus to Kamino, where Dabi is back from the dead. But before I get into the rest of the chapter and all the crazy Bakugo theories, let me direct your attention back to that page where Shigaraki is posing like cars from JoJo's. If you look at the panel of Genist in the bottom left corner, you will see that he is pointing his hands downward and activating his quirk, Fiber Master. And since we know that Genist is currently standing over Bakugo, we can deduce what is about to happen. Bakugo's heart has been ripped and damaged, so Genist is about to use his mastery over fibers to literally sew Bakugo's heart back together. Then the heroes will find some way to shock his heart back to life, either using an electricity quirk or nitroglycerin or something along those lines. So yes, Bakugo really did die, but he will be resuscitated by Genist and the other heroes. I'm almost certain that he will be brought back to life. And when this is eventually confirmed in the next chapter or a few chapters from now, don't forget to come back to this video and drop a comment. Now, whether this turn of events will be considered a cop-out by the fans is another matter altogether. But to me, it seems clear that this is the way that the story is headed. I will discuss more possibilities for what happens to Bakugo next at the end of this video, but first let's talk about Dabi and the return of All For One in his prime. So speaking of fake-out deaths and defeats, Dabi is back for round 2, despite the fact that Shoto was officially declared to be the winner of their fight several chapters ago. After incinerating some of Endeavor's sidekicks, and rip to those guys, but the only one I care about is Burnin, Dabi explains that he managed to copy Shoto's X on the chest move before Shoto buried him in his icy flames. So that is why we were seeing a little shiny spark on Dabi's chest. He was just activating this move that he copied from Shoto in order to counter Shoto's attack. Dabi now looks like a flaming zombie Nomu on steroids, but he is still alive and ready to continue the fight. And then we learn that Skeptic has apparently been communicating with the major villains this entire time, and he tells Dabi that Endeavor is located at the ruins of the Gunga Mountain Villa, where he is fighting All for One. It seems that Skeptic was able to hack into some of the major security and communication systems that the heroes are relying on, and he seems to be in the process of hacking the highly advanced system that the UA is currently using. If I understood this correctly, it seems that Redestro's old company, Detnerat, had a hand in creating many of these systems that the heroes depend on. And since Skeptic helped build these networks and systems, they can't keep him out no matter how hard they try. We then get a glimpse of the civilian shelter where many of the characters we know are currently hiding, including the rest of Shoto's family, and those kids with strong quirks that Bakugo and Shoto had to babysit in their makeup exam. We also see those two spies, the guy who looks like Mob from Mob Psycho and the girl who is wearing a beanie. They look like they just received some important information from Skeptic, and it seems like they are about to do something. We don't know what exactly they've been ordered to do, but the implication here is clear. The civilians at the shelter are now in danger. The chapter ends at the Gunga Mountain battlefield with All for One now almost fully restored to his physical prime. All for One declares that the villains are about to make their dreams come true, and the text on the final page confirms that the villains are about to go on the offensive. Shigaraki still has the upper hand at UA, Dabi has now retaken the initiative in Kamino, and All for One is presumably about to become an even bigger threat for Endeavor, Hawks, and the others, as his original body is restored back to its peak performance. Things are looking pretty bad for the heroes at this point in time, but let's be real, that will change once again when Deku and possibly other heroes make their appearance in the near future. Now back to our boy Bakugo, who, as I said, is technically dead right now, but will almost certainly be resuscitated and brought back to life in the next few chapters. I mentioned already what I think is the most likely scenario. Genist stitches his heart back together, then his heart is shocked back to life, and later on he will be healed more thoroughly by some healing quirk and or by modern medical technology. Bakugo is likely going to be injured and weak for a time, but he will survive, and Bakugo's injured state will motivate Deku to fight even harder against Shigaraki. But there are other more outlandish scenarios out there, and those are the ones that have been gaining a lot of traction on social media. We have the theory that either Eri or someone else is going to use Rewind to rewind Bakugo's body back to a state where he wasn't so drastically injured. Then we have the theory that Bakugo is going to be sent back in time, possibly due to a Rewind-related side effect, and that he will survive, but he will be stuck in the past, eventually becoming the second One-for-All user. This means that he will live, but he will never see his friends and loved ones again, although his vestige is going to meet Deku many years later. And of course we have my personal favorite theory, which is that Bakugo is sent back in time by Eri and becomes Deku's father. I am kidding, of course, but it was actually hilarious to see some people believing that fake chapter leak that I posted on Twitter. Good times. What do you guys think? Am I right in my belief that Bakugo will be resuscitated after Genist sews his heart back together? Do you think that a more outlandish scenario involving something like Eri's quirk is actually possible? Did it surprise you to see how crazy the fandom got with all the theories in a desperate attempt to find some way for Bakugo to survive? Oh, and if and when Bakugo does end up being resuscitated, as I predicted, will you be okay with that, or do you think that would be a cop-out by Horikoshi? I know a lot of people hate the idea of an important character like Bakugo dying, which is totally understandable, But when it seemed like he really died, there were a lot of fans who praised Horikoshi for having the courage to kill off such a major character. Is that about to be completely undone with Bakugo's resuscitation? Definitely leave your feedback down below. I always love hearing from you guys, but I especially love seeing what you think in such situations where the fandom is in panic mode and wild theories are flooding social media. You know what to do. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like. It only takes you a second, but it helps out with that YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. It might seem like a little thing, but it really helps me out a lot here on YouTube. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Anime Uproar. I want to give a big thank you to all of our Anime Uproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to our The One tier patrons, the ones who stand above all other clans, including Alpha Sigma, Pate Hefa, The Toasted Chi, Corey McGowan, Baked Buddhist, and Jeremy Pontier. And I can't forget all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Angel Cruz, Alicia Octer, Fatboy Games, Kaido Might Be a Duck, Alivania, and Anime S Code M. If you guys enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon or here through YouTube memberships. Even a single dollar helps, and it means a lot to us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.